they can't make the meeting due to work commitments or whatever, and they would want to get a recording of it because there's lots of stuff in it that you may not be aware of. So it's really, really important that all third years gain access to this information presentation today in our assembly. Okay, I'm just going to quickly get the assembly up, and I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'll get started. And I do have a poll as we go through it, which is a couple of questions I need to ask the third years. But we'll get started. So I hope you can all see my screen and you can all hear me okay, and we'll get moving. Okay, so this is third year information slides based on the phased reopening of schools and where we're at the moment. So it's a phased and a cautious return to school. Okay, so and the word cautious is used, and the reason the word cautious is used is the minister has said that it'll be based on numbers instead of actually dates. Now, however, if you are not that, I'm sure that looking at the numbers in recent days, the numbers seem to be going in the right directions. I know the hospital numbers are down, and I know that the transmission numbers are down as well. So it's all great. So there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully, with the vaccine rollouts and stuff. So there's a strong possibility that, you know, after the Easter break, the third years will be coming back. So with that, the 6 years returned last Monday, and the Monday prior to that was the special classes and the Acorn Centre, and the 6 years came back this Monday, which is the 1st of March. And now on the 5th, in Monday week is the 5th year's return, and they return for 2 weeks as well, and then it's the Easter break, and then third years will return after the Easter break, which is Monday the 12th of April. So that's when the third years will return. Now, when you do return to school, there's two key things that need to happen. And the first two key things that need to happen is the declaration, and this is the declaration form here. That declaration form will be sent out to you before the Easter break. It'll be sent a link to you via text message to your parents, carers, guardians' mobile phones, and you'll be able to download it and print it off if you have access to a printer at home. If you don't have access to a printer, you can come to the reception area of a school, and it's in a box just underneath the window where Shirley and Nicola in the main office are, and you can just pick up a sheet if you don't have access to a printer. But when you return as a third year on the 12th of April, you will need this form completed by your parent or carer, whoever's at home. That's one thing that needs to be done. You will also be sent a return to school form to be filled out on a Google form, which has around 12 questions in relation to the return to school. So that needs to be filled in. So without those two things completed, you can't gain access to the school. So it's really important that those two things happen. So in order that you gain access to the school. And again, third years, you would come in the normal entrance that you would come in, and I'll talk about that as we think. So as things were in September and in your satellite school, all of those things still are in place. Okay, so it's very important to note that. But for example, when the 6 years came back, and we have 126 6 years and 13 LCAs, I think there was about 3 people that weren't there for whatever reason on Monday. So we had everybody bar 3 return on Monday, which is fantastic. So everybody is keen to get back and to be in school, but it has to be done in a safe and structured way. So again, the satellite schools that were in place in September, they still exist, as does the area of the school where you will be based still exist, and that's where you will be based on your return to school. Okay, and you will come in and out the entry and exit points as normal. But the two key things is the declaration and is the online survey that you need to complete in order to gain access back into the school. Now, in relation to PPE, it was recommended that medical grade masks with a certain kind of code and a certain number are provided for SNAs and for special needs teachers. So if you're working in close proximity with a student, or if you are a student coming in and a teacher or an SNA is working in close proximity to you, you will have access to a medical grade mask. The majority of people that are returning, you can use either a medical grade mask, which you'll have to supply yourself, or you can use a cloth mask. Now, there's lots of research gone into over in the US in relation to masks, and the cloth masks aren't as good as the medical grade masks. Now, if you look here, the medical grade masks, they're the kind of disposable blue ones that you'd see. Now, again, if you're using those, they recommend that you change them at least twice, if not 3 times a day, for them to be effective. Okay, so you would have to supply your own mask. If you go with a cloth mask, that's fine. If you go to medical grade mask, that's fine also. If you come into school someday and you have a medical grade mask and the strap breaks in it and you don't have a surplus, which you should have a surplus of in your bag, but if you don't, you know, we have some masks that we can kind of help you out. But you must come to school with your masks. Okay. Now, a couple of the mitigating factors that you'll probably hear quite often, and are really the simple things that we need to do, and to make sure that just because they're simple things that we don't forget to do them, because these are the key factors that mitigate us against the spread of the virus. So things like windows open, doors open, masks on at all times, washing hands, hand sanitizing, 2 meter distance, disinfecting the desks, which is one thing that we're kind of probably poor at, is disinfecting the desks on entry to a classroom and on exit of a classroom, and keeping our social distance. They are the basics. And if we don't get the basics right, it's not good. And these are the mitigating factors that prevent the spread of the virus. We need to get those things right. And it's really, really important that we do. And then here again is the latest graphic from the Department of Education in relation to staying at home, wear mask coverings in and out of shops, wherever you're going, wash and sanitize hands regularly, and maintain your social distance. And then the key priorities for us on your return to school is, one is the need to protect students' tuition time for the remainder of the school year. This only works in a triangulation. And what I mean by a triangulation, it is there's 3 stakeholders involved in this. There's the school, there's the home, and there's you, the student. That's the only way this works. It's the only way that we can protect the tuition time for the remainder of the school year. And it's really, really important that we do that. It's really important that we ensure the schools adhere to the public health requirements. I know that there's a majority of third years, but as the current restrictions now, this may be different for you when you return on the 12th of April. But if we're still in level 5 restrictions nationally, is what that means is all sports are kind of cancelled. You can't go on to, if you're into hurling or Gaelic football or GAA, if there's a ball wall, all of those facilities are closed and you can't actually access them, or you shouldn't be accessing them under level 5 restrictions. So in relation to that, as it currently stands, but it may be different when you return on the 12th of April, the pitch, for example, and the courts is out of bounds to congregate and to kick around a ball. They're currently out of bounds in level 5 restrictions. Okay, they're currently out of bounds in every club and every sport across the country. So if someone was to ask me a question, which some Sixers did ask me when they returned on Monday, is it possible for us to get a ball and go out and play in the field? The field is closed. The field is only open if you wanted to go for a walk and walk around the perimeter of the field, but you cannot congregate in a group. You cannot get a ball and play a match because all sport currently is cancelled. What does that mean for PE? PE have certain guidance in relation to delivering of PE in classes during the school calendar and during the school timetable during the day, and they put mitigating factors into place to make sure that that's not that they are adhering to the public health guidelines. Okay, so that's the second key priority for us, and the third one is to make sure that we put in place for schools and for teachers to be able to conduct all aspects of examinations. Okay, and some of this part now might be news to you in relation to all examinations, and I'm going to come on to that now in a second. So the 3 priorities is protecting tuition time, especially for you as third years, is really, really important to us. And then maintaining the public health guidelines and requirements, and then making sure that we can conduct all aspects of examinations. Okay. Now, when you return, you will get, and you're in your base classes, you will get a copy of this. It'll be an A4 page. It'll be 2 sides back to back. And there is 12 points on this that is essential that we all make sure that we follow them. The first one is that all masks must be worn correctly over the nose at all times. A visor cannot be worn instead of a mask. Now, if you have underlying medical conditions and you want to wear the visor, but you have to wear a mask over it, some people decide to wear a mask and a visor over it, but you must wear a mask, okay? Masks must be worn both inside and outside of the classroom, when on corridor and in the bathrooms. Also, masks must be worn outside where social distancing cannot be maintained. Students must remain in the area of the school in which they are allocated at any given time. The pitch is out of bounds, like I've said, but that may change by the 12th of April if we're not in level 5 restrictions. And number 5, students must maintain social distancing at all times, inside and outside of the school building. This is especially important at lunchtime. 2-meter distance must be maintained, and masks immediately put back on once food is consumed. Okay. Now, really important, number 6, food can only be consumed in classrooms. No eating on the corridors, as masks must be worn inside at all times. You cannot come out onto a corridor, take your mask off, take a swig of a drink of water, or eat something that you might get or that you might have in your bag or whatever. Eating food, consuming of water is in the classroom. Okay, if you go outside and you're eating a roll or whatever the case may be, you make sure if you're taking off your mask, you're maintaining your social distance and you're eating whatever, but you cannot eat on the corridor or you cannot drink on the corridor. Okay, it's really, really important that that is emphasized and that you're aware that you eat in your base class and you don't come out of your base class unless your mask is on. Now, while you're in your base class eating your lunch, it's really, really important for ventilation that we maintain the rooms and the base rooms that the air circulates. So we give every opportunity for the air to circulate as best we can. So during lunchtime, you'd be in your base class for 15 or 20 minutes eating your lunch. Then you'd be finished, you'd be asked to vacate the room. The weather's got a bit better, you go outside, get some air, and the room and the windows in the rooms will be open to ventilate the rooms as well. Okay. Hand sanitizing must be used on entry to the school and exit of the school on regularly throughout the day. You have your little disposable bottles that you're all given at the start of the year to be able to go to the refill hand sanitizing stations. That's really important that you continue to do that. And again, one thing I touched on, desks need to be sanitized carefully before and after each class. That's one thing that we'll say before Christmas, that we weren't really that good at. We must maintain that and disinfect. You have the spray, you have the blue towel, you have all of that, and all of that has been supplied for each room. So you must do that every time that you sit down at a desk or leave a desk. Ventilation in the classrooms, windows must be left open for movement of air. Only the bathrooms, in some cases, for example, yours is in the science area, so they're the only bathrooms that you will be using, okay? So you wouldn't be upstairs as a first year, you would be downstairs and you would be using the toilets just to the side of the main office, okay, just outside the home economics rooms, they're your toilets. And the only entrance and exit will be the one used either, for example, in this case for 5th years, they're upstairs. Yours is just behind the office, the main office. That's your entry and exit point for all of your subjects. Okay, so that's the area in the morning time, in the evening time, or if you're going out for PE, that's where you come in and out. Okay, and then that's on one side of the A4, and then the reverse side of that is from the Department of Education, support for post-primary schools returning and advice for your return to in-person teaching and learning and what that looks like. Okay, and about symptoms, about missing out on the learning that you might have missed out of if you are on a bus, and all of those kind of things. So moving on from that, just to let you know that there was a press release by the Minister of Education on the 17th of February to say that the Junior Cert for 2021 examinations is cancelled. Okay, but it's not, it is cancelled. So it's similar to what happened last year, but the students didn't return last year. So the students get a certificate from the Department of Education with no grades on it to say that they actually completed their Junior Cert year. Okay, but now in talks with the department, we are actually replacing the Junior Cert exam with the KTCS Junior Cert. Okay, so you will have exams, you will have a controlled assessment exams in the last week of May. But the date and the calendar hasn't been finalized yet, but the progress on that is we're moving on the progress. So to think that you will not have exams is something that won't happen. You will have exams. You will have exams which will be similar to what the Junior Cert would look like. They'll be structured in a similar way. They'll be in a controlled environment. And it'll be like you are actually in the sports hall doing state exams. That's what it will be like. So to not engage, and I'll talk about engagement and lack of engagement in a few minutes, that you're not going to be doing exams, that's not the case. You will have exams to do, and your Junior Cert will be replaced with the KTCS Junior Cert. Now, you will get a certificate from the Department of Education that will just say that you did 3rd year, but you will also get a Junior Cert certificate from the school with the actual results of the exams that you will sit, which will mirror and will be very, very close to what a Junior Cert paper will look like. And those results will actually be issued to you on a KTCS Junior Certificate report. Okay, and Mr. Smith, if you want to come in at that stage before I go on to study skills as your year head. You might be, Mr. Smith, you might be muted.
Okay. Morning, lads and ladies. Look, I just want to say about 4 things to you. It'll take me about 3 minutes. So I think it's very important. I'm not just saying this. I think it's very important that you listen carefully to this. And I've made it as simple as I can and as straightforward as I can so that everybody would understand it. Firstly, I know people are concerned about their subject options for 5th year, and people are concerned about LCA, and they're concerned about transition year. Well, students in the school, 3rd years, you should know about all of those areas, subject options, LCA and transition year. Whether you've got your subjects, LCA or transition year, you'll know by Easter. Okay, now that's one very simple point. Now, I'd just like to make a couple of points about what Mr. Hayes has said, and I've thought about this carefully. Firstly, every single one of you in 3rd year is going to receive a Department of Education junior certificate. And I'm not trying to, it's great to get it, but all that says is that you were a junior certificate student in Kildare Town Community School for the last 3 years, and that you were part of the junior certificate group. That's all it says. And myself and Mr. Hayes and the other teachers have met in regards to the Kildare Town junior certificate. You'll get this as well as your department junior certificate, but this is going to be of real value to you. Now, it's going to be based, the marks for it, let's say in history, my subject, your mark in your Kildare Town junior certificate is going to be based on some of the work you did online. So it's important to keep that going. And it's also going to be based on what Mr. Hayes said, an assessment at the end of the year. And I'm not just saying this, but I really believe it. The Kildare Town junior certificate has real value for you. Because I'll tell you why. It's going to show you, and it's going to show your parents, and it's going to show your teachers how you have done in your subjects, particularly in 3rd year. And it even could help you next year with subject choice. Now, there's no guarantee in this, but let's say you take up history next year and your end of year junior cert result in history isn't brilliant, but your result, we'll say, in business is very good. Well, if you weren't happy in history in 5th year, you could come to me and say, sir, look, I actually did better in my junior certificate exams in business. Is there any chance I could transfer into business? Now, that can't happen a lot. There has to be room in the subjects for transfer, but at least we will discuss it with you if you can show us on your junior certificate how you have done. So it has really got value for you. Now, just 2 final things. Firstly, I don't want anybody panicking about these exams. I'm sure that Mr. Hayes would say the same thing. We know it's been a very strange type of year. So whatever areas are on, for example, if in geography or history, it's going to be something like the medieval period, you'll be told the areas. You won't have to read the whole book. Don't be panicking about that, right? And also don't be panicking about coming to the end and finishing all your courses. You will only be assessed on what you have done. If there's little bits of the courses that aren't finished, don't worry about that. There'll be plenty of choice. And don't be worried about an overload of work. You'll be told exactly what to discuss. But honestly, the Kildare Town Junior Certificate, I can't tell you enough, it is of great value to you because it's a progress report for you, for your parents. And as I said to you, it'll show you how you're progressing in subjects when it comes to your junior cert. And I know a lot of you will take it very seriously. And I want to take this opportunity to wish you all the best in it. And I'm looking forward to meeting you all back on April the 12th. So best of luck, everybody. If there are any questions in relation to anything I've said, you can always email me or email Miss Urell and we'll clarify it with you. Okay? Thanks a million, guys. Thanks, Mr. Hayes.
Okay, cheers, sir. That's great, sir, and thanks for that. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly move over to study skills, and I want to quickly show you a video because I want to run a poll in a second, and that poll is about study skills. Now, we are working with a company called Supergeneration in relation to study skills, and the reason why the Kildertown Community School Junior Certificate is happening is. We have third years from last year that are currently in fifth year have missed out on a lot of the learning, the face-to-face learning, and they have never done a state exam. Okay, to their disadvantage, the schools never returned last spring before the summer break. So we are returning. So it's an opportunity for us to, as Mr. Smith said, to go through where we're up to in each of our subject areas and to do that assessment. So it's really, really important, and it will be really, really meaningful. Okay, I want to quickly show you a quick video. If I can get it up, I have to get it up on this one because I didn't put it into your slide. So quickly showing you this video in relation to supergeneration and what supergeneration is. And I'll quickly show you this, and then we'll have a brief discussion about it. Okay, here we go.
Now, do you feel that your students would benefit from learning and study skills support for the coming academic year? If so, we would like to partner with you to support your students. When you choose the Supergeneration, you are doing so in the confidence that you are partnering with the market leaders in learning and study skills, motivation, and well-being.
Professor Cook.
With the Supergeneration, students are given a tried and proven method to help them achieve their academic goals. Our seminars increase student motivation and focus. Each student is also provided with a free study journal, giving them a comprehensive organizational and management tool to record their progress and study. We are delighted to launch for the coming year 2 new delivery methods to complement our in-school seminars, these being live online webinars and e-learning. Our live webinars are structured online presentations delivered by an experienced facilitator. They comprise short, student-focused videos and engaging activities with accompanying resources or a study journal for each student. The webinars will encourage active learner participation and are delivered as 2 one-hour sessions. Our e-learning programs support self-paced, independent student learning. They are delivered via the Supergeneration's online classroom. The programs comprise highly engaging animated videos, quizzes, and activities. Students get 12-month access to the programs, which allows them to review their learning at any time throughout the year. For further information,
Okay, so that's the Supergeneration, and I wanted to quickly show you that video. Okay, because I'm going to hand over to Mr. Urell now in a second. And before I hand over to Mr. Urell to give you more, you can actually, before we do the poll, I'm going to launch a poll onto your screens in a second to ask you 2 questions about, are you interested in it? And then, and what we're going to do, we're going to try and facilitate that. So Mr. Urell, I'll hand over to you before I do the poll, if that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. It's very nice to have an opportunity to speak to all of our third years. I know from our CAT4 test results that we have students in third year with great ability with words, with numbers, with problem solving, and with visualization. And these natural abilities will stand to you very much in the future. And I know as well, from looking at school reports, that we've students that have worked very, very hard and have even exceeded their natural ability because they've put in so much study. And I want you to take on board the importance of the KTCS Junior Cert. Everyone will be getting a KTCS Junior Certificate. And this is no trivial exam. This is really important, and it will reflect the work you've done online and the work that you're doing in school. And I don't want anyone to compare themselves to anyone else. I want you to do your personal best with these exams that you're going to have in the school at the end of May. And every subject will have a junior certificate exam. for every third year student, and you will be getting a mark based on your online work and a mark based on that exam and a KTCS junior certificate. And the reason we're kind of giving that is a lot of our sixth years, or many of our sixth years, apply for courses now in Europe, and they apply for courses in the UK. University and college courses, where there's a huge number of courses. And many of these courses, these colleges ask for an official exam result. So at the time they're applying, they don't have a Leaving Cert exam. The last exam will have been the junior cycle exam. So for you guys, it will be the exam you're taking with us at the end of May. That will be the official exam that we're going to have the results of. The same for apprenticeships. Apprenticeships are available now in finance, in insurance, in auctioneering, in computing, and these are training programs where you work and you earn at the same time. And many of those ask for junior certificate results. As well as for many jobs, if you're applying on publicjobs.ie for the guards, and for many very good public jobs, they ask for a certificate at the end of junior cycle with results. So we are giving this exam that will be corrected by the teachers in the school, and we want to help you prepare for it. So that's why we have partnered up with this company that have worked with thousands of students in schools all over Ireland, great schools like our school. And we're offering you guys a really, really good package here. It's going to be a 2-hour seminar that's going to be delivered over a morning to any third year who signs up for it. And then you're going to have access for a full year to a 2-hour course. And I've done this course myself, and it teaches you the science of learning. It teaches you how to make homework make sense to you, and how to remember the information and use it in an exam. Now, I track students when they leave school, and many students find study in university and college very difficult because they haven't really learned how to do it in second level. So this is a golden opportunity, and the school is supplementing this. It's more expensive than what the school, Mr. Hayes, is going to ask parents to pay. So it is well worth it, because 97% of students who've done this course would say they know how to study more effectively. And 95% of them feel less stressed and more confident about their exams. So this is really very high statistics. There's no gimmicks with this. The course is really good, and I would like third years for preparation for your KTCS junior cycle exams, as well as when you're thinking of going forward into senior cycle, I'd like you to avail of the opportunity to do it. You will not regret it. It'll be an investment in your future. So the lunch money you've saved, give it to your parents, make a stand that you're going to pay for it yourself, and invest in your future.
Okay, cheers, Ms. Urell. Now, in relation to the Super Generation Study Skills, as Ms. said, you get two seminars with a facilitator, 2 1-hour seminars. You get access for 12 months to the classroom. You also get a digital copy of the student journal, and you get a hard copy, which we will post out to you before you return to school, because we hope to maybe facilitate doing these seminars as soon as possible. And you also then, Miss, isn't there a section then for the parent? Isn't there a parent seminar as well for any parents that want to see how they can log on and do the seminar to support their students during the study skills before they kind of access and go into the senior cycle and you know, to prepare for the Leaving Cert in 2 years' time. So yeah. there's two things then. There's 2 quick questions that we need to ask. And one is, are you interested in the Super Generation Study Skills? And then it is between €8 and €10 in order for all of that facilities. And now it's usually 2 separate payments in relation to the webinars and then the classroom. But we have over the last 2 days been negotiating with Super Generation for our third years and for our 5th year students. So we've had an assembly with 5th years, and a high percentage of them have actually wanted to avail of it. So I want to get a kind of a feedback from the third years on whether you want to be avail of it or not. So in a second, a poll is going to pop up on your screen, and there's be 2 questions. One is, are you interested, yes or no? And then, can you commit to €5 on easy payments by Friday of this week, which is the 5th of April. So that's going to pop up, and I'll pop it up for maybe about 2 minutes. It should come up on your screen there now. And there's 120 of you in the call. So if you would answer those 2 questions for me, it would be much appreciated. So we have an idea of the people who would be interested in doing the Super Generation. I can't see why people would not want to be interested in it if you are dedicated to your, you know, your senior cycle. and where you want to go, and that you have a long-term plan in relation to whatever your destination is, whether your destination is an apprenticeship, whether your destination is TY, whether your apprenticeship, whether your destination is LCA, studying and being able to have the skills and the skill sets that you need to study moving on to the next chapter of your life, which is senior cycle, and then after that, whatever that may be. And you never stop learning. You're always learning, and you're always doing courses. You know, so it's really, really important that you know the skills and the techniques that you need to use to study and how to study effectively. So, you know, it's up to you. So we could have, as a school, decided, listen, we'll open it up for all third years, but there's no point the school forking out that type of money unless, you know, if only a small number of people are going to actually take part in it. So I'm going to give it another 30 seconds. So if you could get your options into that, that'd be much appreciated.
So just to say, Mr. Hayes, then for the €5 that you're offering for students, you will have the 2-hour seminar with the head of the Super Generation, who takes you through the science of learning and how you can make your homework and your learning meaningful for you for all of your years ahead of you studying. Please God. And
it's actually it is actually a live person. It is a live. You know what I mean? There is a facilitator there. It's not like a pre-recorded thing. It's not independent. It's, you know. Yeah, go on, Miss Sari.
No, that's great. So that's one is a live seminar, and you'll really enjoy it. It's really interactive. It's quizzes in lots of ways to help you to figure out the skills yourself. Then you have 1 year of the online course, the one that I have done. So you have access, so you can dip back in to go back over ways to study for a full year. That's the beauty of this. You'll have the license for the full year. So whether you do TY or not, you can go back and listen to it and get some ideas. And then your parents will be able, we'll pick a time, and your parents will be able to come into the Zoom call, and Phelan, the guy from Super Generation, will explain how it works and explain about the science of learning. And that is all for €5. And then you will also have your study journal, a soft copy and a real copy of that posted out to you. It's really easy to use, and it'll really make sense to people here. Okay.
So listen, I'm going to stop the poll now in 10 seconds. Okay, so if you haven't got your option in, please do get it in as soon as you can, and I'll stop the poll. And Miss, can you just highlight then the process then, what happens next? That a letter will go up on the website, a text will go out to parents, and the easy payment.
That's it. So the letter will be on the website, and then your parents will get a text about this. So you'll be able to tell them the 4 things in it: the workshop, the year's access to the online program, and the study journal that you're going to be filling in during the program, and the parents' presentation, all for €5. It's actually incredible value. And then you'll be, when you pay the €5 on the easy payments, the dates for this will come to you, and your teachers will be aware you're doing it, because obviously it'll be on the 2-hour seminar instead of some of your classes. But you will be part of the 90% then of students, 95+% who feel very positive towards their learning. And you guys have the ability. There's fantastic ability in this year group. So I want you to harness that. This is a great chance to do that and get the best future you can for yourselves.
Okay, Miss, just for your information as well, that there was 103 people that actually did the vote, and 80 people in the vote have asked to do the Super Generation seminar. So there's 80 now. Just to remind all students that the information in relation to the letter and the information will go out to a text to all students. So there may be some students that are not here today, or there may be some students of maybe the ones that said no that might want to avail of it once the text goes out, or your parents might want you to do it. That will go out, so you can change your mind based on that. But we have indicative numbers roughly of who's interested in it. Okay, so thanks for that, and much appreciated, and well done. I'm going to quickly move on then to online participation. Since people have got knowledge that the junior cert wasn't happening, since the junior cert wasn't happening, the level of engagement has dropped off. So now that you know that there is a KTCS junior certificate happening, I just want to show you what happens in relation to people that have not been engaging in their studies. And if you look here, this is an example of every year group, and it's this online form that all of the leaders in the school have access to. Okay, and in your case, there's a third year one here, and it says third year non-engagement, okay, with remote learning. So if you're at home and you're not engaging with the remote learning, this is what a teacher would do. So you know what a teacher does. So a teacher then will come to this form. Now, this is an example of a 6th year one, okay? So they come to this form, which they have access to. And in this form, they fill in the following. They fill in their student's name or the teacher's name. They fill in the student who's not engaging, the subject that they're not engaging with. And then they're asked the question, have they contacted via email the student's parents? And in most cases, they would tick yes there if there's an email address on the system. And then they would put in that this student hasn't engaged since Christmas or hasn't engaged since we reopened in January, or for some reason this student is not handing in homework, whatever the comments are. And then from there, that information goes from there to here, okay? And this is where the year heads, where the care team, where the deputy principals, where the assistant principals, and also the deputy principals and principal have access to this. And then we action. So we would action and we would keep account of what's happened with those students that have not been engaging all along. So essentially, if you haven't been engaging with the remote learning since the 11th of January, there will be a report here based on you in relation to that. That will also impact on, which will have impact on you now with the junior cert exams that we're going to run, but it may also have an impact on you with your option choices. So for example, if you opted to do, we'll just say, for example, home economics, and you wanted to do that as part of your senior cycle options, if you have come up in this non-engagement form and there's only a limited number of spaces for home economics and you haven't been engaging in home economics, and we'll say we have 20 spots for home economics, just as an example, and that there's 25 people, that will go to the people that have engaged in the process, that have been actively participating in the subject in their junior cycle. Okay, that's how it works. All right, so it is really, really important for two aspects. One, that this is information that is used based on, your engagement in the subject, and maybe that's the subject that you may be looking to participate in the senior cycle, but also now that there's a KTCES junior certificate examination. All right, really, really important that your engagement is happening. And then further to your engagement, we have a system in school now for teachers, which is called the Athena Tracker, but I always call it just the journey of a child, because it actually looks at you and academically and how you've performed over the last 3 years of your cycle. Okay, so it's really, really important that you are actively participating in it. So is what I'm saying to you is the journey of a child for you, in your case as a third year, is how you've performed academically in assessments over time, over your 3 years. And that information is available. And Ms. Yorella is going to bring us through it now in a second. And you can see how teachers monitor how you're progressing over time. Okay, so Miss, if you want to come in there.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. So as you know, I did the CAP 4 abilities test there now with all third year students, and we had a huge uptake. Many parents wanted the parents report that I posted out to you. I still think actually I have it on easy payments, so if parents wanted that, it's very useful to help you. I'll sort that. And what we do in the CAP 4 tests, how students are with words, numbers, with problem solving and with shapes, and it compares you to thousands of other students. Your age and your exact age, in fact, the standard age score compares you to students born the same month as you, and it gives us a score. And if your score is between 90 and 110 on the standard age score, that's average. So that corresponds between, say, the 30th and the 75th percentile. 25th and 75th broadly, and we can see where your strengths are and what areas that we should be kind of tapping into. Right now, the study skills seminar will talk a little bit about this too, focusing on your strengths to help you to maximize your learning. And so I put all the results up onto this Athena tracker, and then what I do is if we move along, then I enter in all of, so here's all example of test results for, say, any student. And so they all go into the Athena tracker, the CAP 4E and the CAP 4F. And then we can see then with end of term test results, I enter them onto the Athena tracker. So say your Christmas tests of third year, I put them all up, and each result then suddenly comes up color coded. And if your result is color-coded green, that means that exam was above potential for you. So you scored really well in that, because compared to a lot of other people that had similar Cat 4 tests to you and similar test results in first and second year, that result for you individually was actually above potential. So that was really good. If it comes up red, I know that that score result was below, you were capable of getting higher than that. And if it's orange, that means that was probably right for you, that test result. So it's kind of a traffic light system, and it's really useful information for you and for teachers to see in what tests you could actually get a little bit higher, and what you could and what you're really punching above your weight in. So we keep these test results. So here's an example, say, of a class. They're not real students in this school, and there's all the results we put up, the mocks and the it won't be mocks for you now, but it'll be your KTCS junior cycle, and it'll give us a color coding of say this is in maths, all the way up of how you are doing, and it's really useful information. I find 5th and 6th years use it a huge amount to help them when deciding on levels and deciding on points for their leaving cert. So just to say, all the exams you do with us are important, because we keep these as a track to help to advise you and help you to do well. And teachers can put up end of chapter tests as well. Now, they don't affect the color coding because they might be very short little class tests, but they're very useful so you can see your data on the Athena tracker. And teachers can show you this. Now, it's very individual. We don't show anyone else's results, obviously. And I will certainly, as I meet you at senior cycle and in TY for career guidance, I'll be using that to help you. So useful information again for us when we're putting you into your classes, you know, for 5th year, to see what subjects you're scoring in an orange or in a green, because it means that you're working hard and you're achieving your potential. And that's all we can ask, that you achieve your own personal best. Okay.
Thanks, Miss, for that. We're going to move on to Miss O'Keefe and CBAs.
Hi. Yeah, just on the CBAs, you should all have completed for each of the subjects requiring a CBA this year, just one, okay? So with the lockdowns last year, it changed to where you just needed to complete the one CBA, okay? Then you're going to get a certificate. You're going to get a certificate from the Department of Education just on completing your CBAs. Then you're going to also have one from the school, from KTCS, and then we're going to see the certificate here. If we go to the next slide. Okay, and in your certificate, okay, sorry, I'm barely able to see this, but up at the left, you see there for English, okay, you're going to get a grade. So you're going to get a merit, a distinction, okay. That's going to come from the school, and then from the state, it's going to come your CBAs, okay. Your CBA results are going to come here, and you're going to get either above expectations, in line, or have yet to meet the expectations. So those your CBA should all be completed at this stage. But what you need to do now is you need to look at your other areas of learning, okay? And in your, that's a zoom in there. Yeah, if you go to the next one, sorry, just on this one here, on the state exams, okay, you'll get either distinction and merit, okay, on this subject, but then in the CBA, you're going to get in line or above expectations. And then just on the other areas of learning, I think it's 2 slides ahead, Mr. Hayes.
Okay.
This one, yeah, okay. Yeah, so, okay, this is a school-related other area of learning, and it could be a number of things, okay, but it has to be happened while you were at school or representing the school. And there's a list of here things that you could have done, okay? So awards for your sports, okay? So if you were part of a soccer team and you won an award, okay, that's an other area of learning, and you're going to put a statement together reflecting that, okay? There's also here, there's winning a prize for attitude or behavior, active participation in sports team, member of the student council. There's a list of options, okay? And there's going to be an email being sent out in the next week going through how you're going to fill in your other areas learning. And there's a Google form, and the Google form is going to look something like what's on the next slide. Okay. And yeah, you're going to fill this in, you're going to fill in your name, and then you're just going to copy in other area of learning statements that amount to this, okay? So you can have up to a max of 4 statements. So that's going to be sent out to you guys, and you just need to be considering over the next week or so, what areas do you want to put into your statement of learning, and that's then going to be shown up on your junior cert certificate.
And then if you just want to go back, that's we were talking about the state exams and then the class-based assessments, the different categories for the assessment grades.
Yeah.
So, you can see there from the state exams what you get for the state exams that you would have sit, and then for the class-based assessments that you would get. Okay. Right, and if anyone has any questions in relation to that, would you please put that in the chat at the chat, and we'll answer any questions at the end. Is that okay? Is there anything else, Miss O'Keefe?
No, I think that's it in relation to that. Yeah.
I don't know, Miss O'Keefe, if it's you that's typing there. If you just mute yourself, it'd be great.
No, it's not me. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Who it is? I think it's Mr. Elder.
All right. Okay, the next, just to kind of show you, just to move on, is in relation to senior options. Again, the senior options booklet and the online applications that went out, and within about 3 minutes, nearly 90 of you had filled in your options, which is fantastic. We did a Zoom options night for the students and the parents, and then there was applications in relation to TY, LCA, and all of those. So all of those deadlines have happened. And the interviews were happening last week for TY, and some of the interviews finished, I think, this week in relation to LCA. So again, if you have any questions, I saw someone had their hand up. I'll answer any questions at the end if you don't mind holding on for a second. Then in relation to your 5th year options, when will you get your 5th year options? We're planning to get out the 5th year options before Easter. So Friday, the 26th of March, we're hoping to send out the options, your options that you will be selected for before the Easter break, which is essentially Friday the 26th. So you should get it by Friday the 26th. It'll go out in the post. If there's any change to that date, we reckon we'll hit that date. So we just have to generate the blocks for the options, and you will get that information based on the options that you've selected, your 4 top options, okay, and what you get. If there's anyone that didn't get their options, we normally have a conversation then as to the reasons why, and look, we'll have those conversations. So bear with us, but you will know by Friday the 26th of March in relation to your options. And then you did get your booklet. So when we asked you to nominate, to have a number of options and to not put all your eggs into one basket with your top 4 options, we asked you to fill it in and fill in all of the options. I think if possible, I think it was 19 subjects in total. So when you got this information booklet in relation to your options, so it was a very informative booklet that you got. So I hope you've picked wisely. And it's not in every case that everybody gets their top 4 options. So you need to be mindful of that. So you may get your 4th, your 5th, your 6th, or your 7th option. So those options that you've put in there, you need to make sure that they're the options that you're going to have to live with, that you're going to have to take on if you don't get your top 4 options, okay? And again, if you have any questions in relation to that, please put it into the chat and we'll answer them at the end. Then in relation to information from the Department of Education in relation to the returning to school, there is a really lots of information from the Department of Education in relation to the information to return to schools, about the health advice for parents, wellbeing advice and resources during COVID-19, the continuity of schooling and support and frequent asked questions and topics, and collaboration, support and collaboration for parents and guardians from the NCSE and from NEPS and everything else. And there's lots of information there. So please do, there is a link to it. Sometimes it's difficult to find, but you can find it. It's up on the at KTCS Principal Twitter page at the moment. So, which is this link. I'm not going to ask you to write it down because it'd be difficult to get it down. But the link to that information with lots of videos from public health and everything is a really good information. So please do go on to the Twitter page at KTCS Principal, and you will get access to that link and to that webpage. You can also get it from the website. If you go into the website and just onto the main page of the school website and just scroll down, and you'll see the Twitter link then, and you can actually click in there and get it that way. Okay, the next thing is about, it's come up quite a lot from a number of teachers, is email etiquette. Okay, how do you email a teacher? And it's really important, and we put in 5 kind of key things that are appropriate. Now we've got to remember that you know, the dialogue between a teacher and a student should be professional at all times. And, you know, you wouldn't speak to a teacher like you might speak to your mates. Okay, so number one is that in the subject of an email that you put a subject line in, what is the subject? Is it about marking assignments, or is it about technical difficulty, or is it late work? What is the subject? You always put a heading of the subject of what the email is about into the subject field. Then number two is to say hello, like for example, hi miss, or good morning sir, I hope all is well, etc., etc. So a nice greeting to start and to open it with correct punctuation, correct grammar, full stops, not abbreviated language like slang or anything like that. It's like U is Y-O-U, it's not the letter U. Okay, different things like that. So please use structured, complete English, because look, we're a professional organization and that's how we should conduct ourselves. Any kind of collaboration or communication between a teacher and a student should be done in an appropriate way. So 3 is then, why are you emailing the teacher? I'm emailing you because I can't find, or can you help me with whatever you want help with? Okay, and then 4 is end your email by, for example, say, thank you for your help, it's much appreciated, take care and I'll talk to you soon, or I'll see you in class after Easter, I hope you get plenty of whatever. Okay, and then sign off with your name. Okay, which is really important. And there's a bit of an example here of what a structure of an email looks like. And it says, good morning, the subject of it is missing assignment. And it says, good morning, I'm emailing you because I have already turned in my book report. However, it still shows that I am missing an assignment in my mark book. Can you tell me if you have received it? Thank you for checking on this. Much appreciated, Tommy Smith. Okay, so that's a professional structured email and the type of communication that we would expect. And it's our expectation that you would when you're communicating with teachers. Okay, that's how it's done. And again, something similar, how to email teachers, subject line beginning with a greeting, the body of the email, the closing, and then sign it off with your name. Okay, which is similar to the one I've just gone through, which is really, really important that we're doing. Okay, and some general tips there in relation to punctuation, grammar, capitalization, always a proper grammar, and then spelling of words. Please spell out your words correctly. Okay. And now we'll move on to SEN. So Miss Bean, I'm not too sure if you're still there. If you are.
I am. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Everyone, we are so looking forward to seeing you back here with us. We've had a very successful start back with both our Acorn and all our 6th years. For anybody with additional needs, can we please encourage you to keep very close contact with either myself or Mr. Sullivan or anybody on the SNA team. It may be to do with subjects, it may be something to do with deadlines, or it might be just that things aren't going too well for you. Please keep in close contact with you and we'll help you in any way that we can. And use this time well. It is important that you're keeping the structure to your day and that you're following what your teachers are asking on Google Classroom. I know it's hard to keep motivated during these times, but do your best and we're really looking forward to seeing you back in person very, very soon. Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
Okay, I know that Ms. Hackett and Ms. O'Halloran are there socially distanced in the boardroom, so I'm not too sure if one of you want to add anything, anything there.
I suppose I just reiterate what the others have said, is that it is important to keep studying and to keep focused and to try as much as you can to keep working at home, because your teachers are still going to be engaged with you, and we all want you to get the best results that you can in the summer exams, and that's in your hands, and that you will be back in school, and we're really looking forward to having you back. But just to keep doing the best that you can at home, and I suppose it'll all work out in the end.
Sorry, I suppose I'll just say as well that, you know, the 6th years came back. It's only day 3, but it has been very smooth and seamless. They are thrilled to be here. They're so delighted to be looking at each other and not just their own 4 walls at home and their own family. And it's lovely to have that social aspect of being able to talk to other people. So guys, we'll be looking forward. We'll be doing this over the next 4 weeks. We'll have the 6th years, we'll have the 5th years, TYs and LCA ones, and we'll definitely be ready for you guys after the Easter holidays. So take care of yourselves.
Okay, and just a couple of questions that have come in. One is in relation to the cleaning of desks, and it's a good thing that it didn't happen in September, or didn't happen as often as it should do. So it's really, really important, the cleaning of the desks before and after at the end of lessons. And we will be Ms. Hackett, just mute yourself there. So it's we will be having conversations with teachers on their return that to make sure that there's maybe 2 minutes at the start of the lesson, 2 minutes at the end to make sure that the cleaning of the desk is happening. But just be mindful too that that there's people in your class that are saying, listen, miss, we need to clean the desk, or so we need to clean the desk, and that you're actively doing it. Okay. Another question then is, will there be mocks then, or do we know when KTCA Junior Cert exams will take place? Now, there's no mocks, okay? There's no mocks for exams. When the Junior Cert students come back, the subject areas and the subject departments will be coming together. Like every other year group, they do summative assessments. The first, the second, the fifth years do summative assessments. The Junior Certs will be doing summative assessments as well. And that's what the KTCS Junior Cert would look like. It'll be summative assessments. But is what the current fifth years are struggling with at the moment is they are getting ready to going into next academic year into a Leaving Cert without having done any formal, I suppose, state exam. And it's really, really important for any third year currently that they have had the experience of sitting down what it's like to do a version of a state exam. Because if we were in a meeting with or an assembly with the fifth years currently, and a lot of the kind of the anxieties that they may be experiencing is the lack of experience of doing an exam, because they didn't have the opportunity to come back last year in the spring or before we broke up for summer. And they've missed out on that completely. So they feel that they're ill prepared now to set for September to go into and look, it's September to Christmas, and then they do mocks, and then they do their Leaving Cert. So they are really, really disadvantaged, the current fifth years, and they feel it. So we're trying to sustain and put something in place to support the third years, not to make them fail or to probably stick the boot in. That is not the idea of it. The idea is to give you experience on sitting down in a controlled environment to do an exam and a summative exam that isn't essentially everything that would be, I suppose, assessed in the Junior Cert, but in consultation with the teachers in the subject areas, that is a fair exam for you to sit that would represent how you've performed this academic year, both inside and outside of the classroom. Now, somebody's also asked the question, will there be a spot in that for how people have conducted themselves or participated in the online learning? Yes. Now, we're in the process of designing that report and what that report would look like. But there will be a section whether, for example, last year, the current fifth years, which were third years last year, they did an online exam because they didn't come back. So you'll be coming back, so you won't be doing an online exam, you'll be doing a summative exam. And then that was worth 70%. And then the online engagement for those, the current fifth years who were third years last year, 30% went to their engagement while the schools were closed and remote learning. So 30%. But there will be a section on it for how people have engaged. We haven't decided yet, and we haven't had the opportunity to consult with teachers and with other stakeholders in relation to those percentages, but we are mindful that there needs to be something on the report that kind of gives a rating of your participation during school closures. Okay. Another question that's come in, will the percentage of online engagement be high in the final exams? No, because it's unfair. It would be very unfair because the disparity in relation to access to devices at home for people and the access to broadband. So some people may not have access now. They may have some parents or carers or guardians that are home that need access to devices as well, because everybody was working from home from January up to nearly now. So it would be unfair to make the percentage of the engagement high. But again, we will communicate that when we have designed that and the layout. But to give you an example, last year when the schools didn't return or the students didn't return, it was 70% based on the exam for the last year's Junior Cert, and it was 30% online engagement. That's the way we did it. Okay, but we will let you know when we have it finalized. Okay. So to be clear, you cancelled our exams to give us more exams. It's not to give you, we didn't cancel the exams, the Department of Education cancelled the Junior Cert, but we think in order to prepare you for the senior cycle, it is really, really important that you gain access to sitting down in a controlled environment to do an assessment at the end of your junior cycle to prepare you for the senior cycle, because the current fifth years feel that they have been disadvantaged as a result of that. Okay. Hi, sir. Just wondering why you are making us do the junior cert, considering the government, along with the Department of Education, said that it would simply not be fair for third years to sit a junior cert exam. You're not sitting a junior cert exam, you're sitting an in-school exam, which will be based on the learning that you've done in consultation with the teachers. You will not have to go through the whole program from first, second, and third in relation to the exam paper. It'll be work that will be that will have been conducted this academic year, and it won't be a whole thing. And you will know, as Mr. Smith had said at the start of this, he said that you will know the kind of topics that you need to cover in order for this exam. All first years, second years, and fifth years will be doing exams as well. Will we have lockers back when we go back? Currently, as it stands, not at the moment. If we're still in level 5 restrictions, absolutely, the case would be no, because we can't allow for congregation on corridors. Okay, so and the impact that that's having with the lockers and people congregating, it would just the mitigation in relation to the spread of the virus, we can't control it with lockers. Okay, and all of the touch points then in lockers as well. So no is the answer to that. If we aren't moving class or seats, do we still clean the desks? You won't if you're staying in the same classroom. However, if you're going to an optional subject, you'll be moving. You are in a base class, but some optional subjects you'll be moving. So if you're staying at the same desk for 3 periods, you wouldn't need to clean it every period. You'd only need to period when you get up and leave. So it's an exit and entry. Okay. Will past class assessments go towards the results? No, they won't. No. So with all due respects, it is unfair that the Board of Education has cancelled exams for a reason, but you're making us do. Again, I'm talking about the exams. The exams will be based on learning that you've done this year. It is really, really important before you go from your junior cycle into your senior cycle that you have some sort of a summative assessment. Everybody has summative assessments at the end of the academic year. Okay, so there will be a window of assessments in the end of May. There'll be no mocks or anything like that, but there will be a summative assessments based on the learning that was done this academic year. Okay, now I wouldn't be overly worried. It's although we're calling it the KCCS Junior Cert examination, it won't be taken in, the learning of we'd say previous years and stuff like that. And again, it'll be all in consultation. Teachers will support you with what is coming up, but it's really, really important that you get the opportunity to sit down and actually to be able to do an assessment in a controlled environment in preparation of going into the senior cycle. I've paid for the mocks. Where would that go? Right, in relation to the mocks, there are no mocks going ahead for either junior certs or leaving certs, and all mock fees of anyone that has paid will be reimbursed to the people directly. Okay, they'll be all redistributed. Now, I know that a high number of people have either done scheduled payments or people have, a lot of people have paid. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get that reimbursed. Okay, so just bear with us, and we are in the process of doing that. Will we be allowed access to the music room like others are allowed to access the science rooms, art room? The only, in relation to restrictions of music, you weren't allowed to use instruments because they weren't able to be cleaned down. Access to engineering, home economics, all of those rooms have been available. But I'm not 100% sure. It's a good question in relation to the music room. I'm not too sure if it's if the problem is the instruments. And, bear with us in relation to that. I don't know, but I will find out for you. It's a good question. Is it only third year's exams or are exams? No, exams are for everybody. First, second, third, and fifth. Okay. When is the KCSE test taking place? It'll be near the end of May. So, we always have summer assessments. We always have Christmas assessments, and we have summer assessments. The summer assessments normally take place in the last week in May. Now, at the same time, there's also the schools are closing. We're due to close on the 4th of June, and that's gone back a week now. I think it's the 24th or 25th of May. So it'll be the 20th, 21st, 22nd of May when the exam that week. And if I just have a quick look at the calendar, just to kind of see what that is, just to give you an idea. It's just not 100% yet because the calendar is not done yet. It'll be around the 20th, 21st of May that they will start. Okay, it'll be around that time, the exams, but you will get a timetable in relation to that. Okay. So when will we find out about our subjects to find out for the base? find out our subjects? Do we find out our base classes also? No, you don't. You find out your subjects. You only find, and you'll find that out before we break up for Easter holidays. Okay. Is this exam just like the normal summer and Christmas exams in first and second year? Yes. Okay. Treat it as so. Please don't stress about the exams. Okay, it is just a measure to support you with an internal based exam. All of the schools across the country are going to be doing it also. And it's really, really important that, the junior cert is replaced with an in-school assessment to support you with your transition to senior cycle to be have that. Now, again, like I said earlier, the current fifth years who were third years last year really feel disadvantaged because they didn't have the opportunity to sit an exam of some description, and now they're getting ready to sit their mocks in, you know what I mean, when they come back next year. So it's really, really important that you do we do that. So we aren't doing predictive grades. No, we're not. If we have a lunch pass, can we still go home at break? If you have a lunch pass and you go home, you don't go down to Eddie's shop. Okay, you go home. Okay. Will these exams take place the same time as the junior cert? No. Again, from the 20th, roughly around 21st of May. It's the last week of May. They're in school, in the sports hall. You guys will be in the sports hall, so doing the exams, okay? Do CBAs go towards the results, or are they separate? They're separate, and they will be on the certificate that you get from the department, essentially in relation to the CBAs that Miss O'Keefe showed you earlier, okay? Do we have to have lunch inside as your at your class? Will we have, there's masks down. We are allowed to have lunch outside. Yes, you can have lunch outside. If you want to eat outside, that's fine. Just maintain your social distance at all times. You can have your lunch outside. It's just you can't eat or drink on the corridor. You have to have your mask. When you're inside the building, you have to have a mask on at all times. Do we change base classes in fifth year? Do we change base classes in fifth year?
Sometimes a bit.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, you do a bit. Yeah. Is the summer exam covering all 3 years of learning or just this year? Again, we have a meeting arranged with teachers in relation to these exams, and to support students and support what a lot of the questions that you're asking us would be. We are hoping that it will be just what the learning that's took place this academic year, because in second year you would have done a summer assessment, you would have done a Christmas assessment, so they would have captured your learning in second year and in first year and over the last 2 years. So our plan is that it's just covering the learning from this academic year. Okay. Are we still allowed to eat lunch outside? Yes, I've answered that one. And then, is the exam only for third years or first? It's for everybody. Everybody's doing not the same exam. There's first year's exams, there's second year's exams, and there's third year exams and fifth years, obviously. And then, will we have a lunch area in the same place as last year, in the tent and on the courts? It changed quite a bit last year. Yeah, third years currently will be on the courts and in the marquee. However, as it currently stands under level 5 restrictions, we can't. There can't be football and there can't be congregations. Okay, so that can't happen under level 5 restrictions. Now, you guys aren't back until the 12th of April, so they might change by then. I don't know. So. Again, like the 6 years are back now, they don't have access to the field. They can't play football on the field at break time or at lunchtime, nor can they use the courts. However, they can walk the perimeter of the building. They can walk the perimeter of the fields to get some exercise and get some fresh air, but they can't congregate in groups and run around like that, because that's the problem at the moment. And then another question, is the canteen still up and running? Yes, the canteen is still up and running, and we've only 6 years in at the moment. So the actual, it was nice actually, since we've come back on Monday, that the hatch was open and people could order their lunch through Pippa that way, and food is being distributed. But that will, when we're all back on the 12th of March, that we'll be going back to online orders. So that, and Pippa will be delivering the food to the classrooms as was in September. So there will be hot food available. But it'll be online orders and it'll be delivered to the classrooms. Okay, so we've had Miss Hackett, we've had Miss Bean, and we've had Miss O'Halloran, and we've also spoke with Mr. Smith, who's now gone to a class. So okay, and I'll take this last question. Okay, so with all, two more questions, and I'll finish on these two questions. So with all due respects, do you think it's fair to put us through this exam? We have tests every day, CBAs to complete, our everyday work that's getting hammered at us, and now on top of all of this, we have a massive exam. Look, I wouldn't treat it as a massive exam. I would treat it as a kind of a summative assessment at the end of a year. And I think it's really important for you to have the opportunity to sit down and do a summative exam. It's going to be, every school in the country are going to be replacing the junior cert with an exam to make sure that the level of engagement is continued for third years. You do not want to be going into a senior cycle without having done a summative exam, a bit like the third years of last year are. So again, the end of year exam is the same for everybody. All of the first years have been out of school during closures, all the second years and the fifth years, and they're all doing exams. So I just, look, I think since the announcement in mid-February when the junior cert was cancelled, maybe some people decided to look to down tools and just not engage with online learning. That is not sensible at all. It is really, really important that you engage and continue to engage with the online learning, and that you prepare yourself for any of the learning that you've done this academic year, and prepare yourself with consultation with teachers, and the teachers will be fair, and they will, in front from the 12th of March or 12th of April when you return, they will go through what is going to be covered in the exam paper, and that's really, really important. It won't be a tough exam. It will be the same for you as it will be the same for first and second and the fifth year. Okay, and it's really important for you before you go into the senior cycle that you're prepared for that. Okay.
And I think, like you said, Mr. Hayes, every school in the country will be doing this. You need to look at yourself as a third year student as a stepping stone going into fifth year, and you need to have on that school-based certificate where your standing point is at the end of third year. You have worked hard to this point. You would want that certification, and you will have to have it done by the end of May. You are not going to be here doing a state exam in June. So you've actually got a good long summer ahead of you that you can enjoy, and you don't have the stress of a state exam. So there's a lot of positive news here today, but you will need a certificate going into senior cycle to both build your confidence and as a stepping stone for senior cycle. And nationally, every school in the country will be following this as well.
And Ms. Bean, I'm right in saying as well that essentially the students that are currently in third year will actually leave with, essentially, they'll get their certificate of achievement. They'll get their certificate from the Department of Education to say that they were in third year and they completed their exam, they completed the year with no exam results. And then they'll also get the KTCS certificate as well. So you're getting 3 certificates to show potential employers, to show if you're applying for any of the leadership positions within the school, anything like that, that you have 3 certificates from this year. And it's really, really important that you have that, because that gives you a good, holistic overview of your performance during your junior cert year at KTCS, and that's really, really important. Everybody else, all of the other students in other year groups are in the same boat. So you've, as Ms. Bean said, you've put in the hard work, you've made the effort, and it's really, really important that you show us that with this. And I wouldn't be saying that it's a massive exam, it's stressful and stuff like that. It's the work that you've completed this academic year, and now that you're going to be back in front of teachers for face-to-face teaching, you will be asking the teachers, and look what topics are going to be covered, and it gives you a great kind of opportunity to get the head down between now and the end of the next kind of couple of weeks. We have roughly about 10 or 12 weeks left of the school calendar with face-to-face teaching, that you're actually engaging in that, and that's really, really important for you. More than anything. So I wouldn't be overly stressed about it. I would perform the best, and you have plenty of time to do revision, to do study, to get involved, to ask teachers what topics are going to be covered as soon as you're back after Easter. Are CBAs worth anything in the final mark? No, you'll get CBAs, and the mark of your CBAs will be on the certificate of achievement, and that'll be issued by the Department of Education. So when you do a CBA, the teachers do a SLAR meeting, and then following on from the SLAR meeting, the results are issued to the Department of Education, and they will be put onto then the certificate of achievement. So that is separate, it's a separate process. Okay, I've answered all the questions, and I want to thank you very much for your attention and for actively taking part. And I've taken on board a lot of your concerns in relation to the exams. I think doing an exam is probably new to you, but we've also recognised from consultation with teachers that since the announcement came out that the Junior Cert was cancelled, that the level of engagement from third year students has actually dipped significantly. Now, every other school in the country is going to be doing a summative exam for all third years, and it's really, really important that if you have disengaged, that you re-engage and that you get involved with the learning, which is really, really important. So look, we will see you in the coming days. We'll try and have another assembly with you before the Easter break. And we look forward to welcoming you back and going through the processes of the returning to work as soon as it's 5th years next week, for example, we're working with, and then closer to the Easter break, we will be in communication with you in relation to your options and then in relation to procedures of returning to school. Listen, thank you for your time.
Right, so could I say something before we go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to say congratulations to those who were offered places in TY and who have accepted those places. On behalf of myself and Miss Murphy, thanks for filling out those application forms, coming for interview, etc. And we'd be delighted to be working with you next year. Thanks, sir.
Okay, cheers, Miss. Thanks for that. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for your time. Much appreciated. And